Hey everybody, welcome. Today is day one of the 5-day anxiety release challenge. We're going to try to do these periodically inside of this private Facebook community. And so if you know people that could potentially benefit from doing a challenge such as this, please share this with them, invite them to the group, add them to the group, whatever you need to do to assist your loved ones if they're struggling with anxiety or depression. So today, on day one, we're going to be focusing on the soul's path. You know, this never ceases to amaze me or fascinate me, but one of the things that I noticed when I first started working with anxiety and depression on the level of quantum healing and energetic medicine and restorative medicine was that the majority of my clients that I was serving, I found that at the root causal level of their anxiety and depression was this one problem, and the one problem was they'd forgotten who they were. Have you ever experienced that? I mean, do you feel like you really are in connection with who you are? Hey, I saw a little heart come across the screen. If you're here, please type something in the chat box. Let me know that you're here so we can both engage. I know that more people are going to be jumping on, and I also know this is the week of Thanksgiving. So a lot of people are shopping and cooking. And if that is the case, we may end up doing this challenge one more time in the month of December, but I haven't decided yet. Hey Gina, I'm so glad that you're here. Just waiting for more people pop on. So I just thought I would establish the boundaries or establish the protocol for this group. We will go 5 days, every single day. Well, not every single day, because we're going to skip Thanksgiving Day. And I might even skip Friday too, because guess what? I'm a grandma again for the second time. My son just had a baby yesterday, so I'm going to jump in my car after this is over, and I'm going to head to Washington, hopefully in the next couple days here. Anyway, so for this week, we're going to for sure go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll take a little break for the weekend. And yeah, I know, he's so cute. I can't wait to go kiss him and hug him and snuggle him. Anyway, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, we will go live at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time each of the days during this week. Thursday and Friday, we'll take a break, and we'll pick back up again on Monday and Tuesday of the following week after Thanksgiving. Hey, Marlene, glad you're on here. Thank you. I know, I'm so excited. I cannot wait to go kiss this fresh new little baby. So today we're covering the topic of your soul's path, your soul's purpose, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. I call it your soul self, or sometimes I've even called it your essence, the essence of who you are. So if I were to ask you guys this question, who are you? Who is Marlene? Who is Gina? Who is Janet? Who are you? You would probably be tempted to tell me that you are a sister, a daughter, a friend, a coworker. You do this for a living. You do that for a living. You're really good at this. You're talented at that. Maybe you're a mother. You would tell me a lot about what you do in your life, right? And you would use what you do as a means of describing and teaching me who you are. Hi, Sherry. I'm so glad that you're on here. I am a divine being. Gina, you get 5 extra points. Thank you. So you are a divine being. This is soul lesson number 1. I've taught you guys this lesson before. Those of you who follow my videos that I do, this is lesson number 1 on your soul path, on your soul journey. If you cannot comprehend and grasp this first lesson, that you are a divine, infinite, eternal being, then I can't help you. You're probably going to have to go somewhere else, because that is the first lesson in this course of learning what your soul path, your soul mission, your soul purpose, and your soul really is. And so if you can't understand and grasp that concept, then we really can't go any further. If you can and you are willing to grasp the concept that you are an infinite being, an eternal being, you have no beginning and no ending. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. If you can grasp the meaning of that concept, the construct of that, and really begin the process of building a new identity for yourself out of that part of you, the essence of you, then you are on your way to some pretty powerful healing. Have you ever been in the presence of somebody before where you could just really feel their presence? And it was illuminated. Like it came right through the body, almost to the point where you weren't even focusing on the body. You were just so enthralled with the presence of this presence, right? Also, likewise, have you ever been in a place where you thought you were alone and then a presence showed up and you felt the presence of somebody else? Maybe you were home alone and you felt like somebody's in the house with me. I know that somebody is. Gina says, yes, you want to be with them and not leave. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. It draws you in. People who are authentic, they really truly live and honor and serve their own authenticity. They draw you in. They're magnetic. They're attractive. You want to be around them because they are so highly attractive. Because you feel safe too. You don't feel like they're putting up any barriers or overlays or facades as to who they really are. They just present who they really are to the world. And I don't think that everybody in that circumstance is completely and totally authentic. They probably have a few overlays, a few barriers, a few, places in their life where they feel self-conscious a little bit, where the mind chatter can get to them. But for the most part, people who are that way, very extroverted but outgoing, and outgoing in a way that doesn't plow people over, but that invites people in. I know only a handful of people like that, and it's my goal and desire to be that way for my own self, right? I don't want to copy them because that's them, and I can't be them. But I do want to be much more authentically me. And I've noticed that there are some settings in my personal life where I feel a little more confident than I do in other settings. So like maybe setting X, Y, and Z, I feel very outgoing and confident and like I can be myself in that setting when I'm around so-and-so. Then I feel more confident in those places than I do in other places where maybe I feel like I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, I don't measure up, whatever it is, right? So you'll notice there are little pockets in your life where you do feel very much like yourself, and other times in your life where you just don't feel like yourself at all and you feel like you want to hide under a rock, right? A lot of people feel that way when they're asked to do public speaking on the spot. It's terrifying to people. The two biggest fears are death and public speaking. So, sometimes that can really pull you out of your element, pull you out of who you really are, unless you really enjoy public speaking. So that is the first question for today is who are you? Who are you really? And, we've used the word I'm an infinite being, but sometimes it's really difficult to make that actual literal connection with yourself as an infinite being. We can use those words, and for some people those words don't really mean much. Like you're not really connecting. You're logically connecting, but you're not really instinctively connecting to that essence of who you are. I like to describe it as this. If you died today and laid this body down on the ground, what would the presence be that comes out of that body and still continues to exist? The part of you that continues to go around serving and loving your family members and friends and people that you were connected to in this physical dimension. A lot of you guys know, you've followed me for a little while, you know that my mother passed away back in September. And the very morning that she passed away, everybody in the family was having all these amazing, real divine experiences with just these little tender mercy opportunities, tender mercy moments where we all kind of collaborated and went, that was mom. That was mom. That was mom. Like it was almost like she was going around to all of her family members and friends and creating these little scenarios in our lives to show us that she's still around. We could feel the effects. We could feel her presence with us. It's really difficult to wrap your mind around. It's hard to describe to other people what that's like, but when you do have an experience like that and you feel the essence of somebody without a physical body, or even maybe the essence is flowing so powerfully through the body, that's all you're picking up on. Another example that I like to give is this. My husband served a mission. I don't know if this is in Hawaii or not. It might have been when he went to Texas. Before we were married, before we met, he lived in Texas for a while, and he met a very, very large African-American woman who was grossly obese and overweight and was missing some of her teeth. And anyway, he got to know this woman. She was helping him and his friend out, and they were co-workers at the time. And he says, you know, day in, day out, the more that I learned about, I can't even remember her name now, sorry, but he said the more we learned about her and got to know her, her soul was so lit up. It was so lit up that it just poured right through her body, almost to the point where he said, you didn't really even notice her physical body at all. You didn't notice her features. You didn't notice that she was overweight. You didn't notice any of that stuff because her soul was so beautiful. He said, to this day, aside from my wife, of course, he said that she was one of the most beautiful women I have ever had the privilege of having a friendship with. And he said, and to the world's standards, she really wasn't beautiful at all. She wasn't very well kept. She was overweight. She was missing teeth. Her hair wasn't very kept. It was all, you know, kinky, curly, out of control. And, but he said the more that we got to know her and the essence of her, it just was so on fire and so lit up in her that it just flowed out of her every time she spoke. And he said, she became so beautiful to me. Like just this beautiful divine soul. And I loved that because what that teaches me is that when you stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself in the mirror, you are not your physical body. You are not. That's a part of you. It comes around with you while you're here, but that is not who you are. It isn't. And we spend way too much time diverted and distracted with the physical body that we think that we're creating an identity for the world to see us the way we want the world to see us. And it's just, those are just overlays, facades. It covers up who you are. And when you start to cover up that authenticity of your true soul self, people can't trust you, and they feel it. They feel it. So how can you tell, you as a person, how can you tell whether or not you are portraying that or exuberating, is that the word? I can't think of the word. Dang it. Whether or not you are expressing, how about we'll use that, the truest, highest part of yourself. How can you tell if you really are doing that or if you're really just presenting to the world an overlay or a facade? How do you break that down? Exuding. Thank you. Thank you. It's really hard for me to talk today. I don't know why. Patricia, thanks. So I'm going to give you guys a few symptoms, and you may want to write these down due to the fact that I have a new grandbaby I need to go visit this week. I'm probably not going to get to handouts for you guys, so please take notes. If you have to go back and rewind and watch the replays, these videos will stay up for about 24 hours. If I'm really nice and in a good mood, or if I forget, then they may stay up a little bit longer. You can rewatch them and write down these notes, write down these exercises I'm going to take you through. So these are the symptoms. How do you tell when you've fallen away from the true authenticity of who you really are? I had a woman come to me not very long ago, actually, within the last year, came to me and she said, she first told me that she'd been having these dreams or these promptings that she needed to move to a different state. And so I said to her, then why don't you do it? And she expressed that she was afraid, she was a little fearful, she didn't have a job, things weren't lined up, and nothing was falling into place, and she couldn't figure it out. And so she stayed in her crappy, dead-end, go-nowhere, boring, stress-riddled job that she was in, and continued to lose a portion of herself through that experience. And she came to me about 6 months after she had shared that experience with me, and she said, I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel empty. I feel lost. Write these down. You're going to want to keep track. This is how to tell when you've been yanked out of your true soul's path or off of it. I feel empty, lost. I feel listless. I feel completely exhausted and fatigued. I feel overwhelmed. I don't know who I am anymore. I asked her, well then let's figure this out. What do you love to do? What do you love? I have no idea what I love anymore. I don't know. I just feel blank inside. I feel overwhelmed. Life was very chaotic for her. Ooh, there's a big indicator. When life gets very stressful, bogged down, chaotic, and there's just a lot of madness going on, that's a very good clue or symptom that you've been yanked off of your true soul's path, and you're not really connected with who you really are, and you're not going in the right direction either. You can tell if you're going in the right direction because, well, I'm going to share with you what those symptoms are, but basically it feels good and things fall into place. Some of the other symptoms are you may start exhibiting chronic pain. You may start having chronic degenerative illnesses show up in your body. And depending on where those illnesses show up for you, it's telling you a story of what you've created for yourself. You may also notice that you have mental illness of some sort, maybe depression, maybe a little bit of anxiety going on, panic attacks. Those things will yank you off your soul path, and also they are also an indicator that you've been yanked off of that path as well. So watch for that. Again, we said listlessness, you feel tired, chronic illness, chronic pain. Fibromyalgia is a pretty big one, and a lot of young mothers tend to get this condition because we have swallowed and buried our emotions for so long. We've taught ourselves how to swallow and bury. And when you swallow and bury hurtful, painful memories and emotions and experiences, the body will manifest those through the physical self. So it'll manifest through the physical properties of the body, and it'll come out as physical, literal pain instead of mental pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain. So watch for those too. Okay, let's move on to the symptoms of how you can tell when you are in alignment with who you truly are. Do you guys have much memory of when you were little children? Like, I have a friend actually who has memories from when she was a baby, which is remarkable. Most people can't do that, but a lot of us can go back at least to our toddler years. Chelsea says, swallow and bury. Ugh, yeah. Please do not swallow your emotions. Please do not eat your emotions either, because food isn't going to cover that stuff for you either. It's just going to make you fat. So do you have memory of when you were a little kid and you felt very awake, very alive, very, very much who you are? I mean, just, well, sorry. No apologies for who you are. You just speak the truth. It comes out in whatever way that you feel like you want it to. Little children, for the most part, unless there's some extreme trauma or abuse that has gone on in their little lives, for the most part, little children are very much awake and aware of who they really are. And oftentimes when you're trying to reconnect with who you really are and you've been yanked off of that path, that's one of the best ways to reconnect is, what did I used to love to do? What was my vision for my growing up years when I was a little child? What have I always wanted to have, be, or do? Those are good indicators or good clues leading you in the direction of who you truly are. Gina says, I remember being very little with my sister and being protective of her. I was probably 2. Wow, that's amazing that you have memory going all the way back to 2. That's pretty rare. Not many people have that, but the more awake you are, the more aware you are, the more enlightened you are allowed to be, especially in your growing up years, and you're not taught to stifle and squash that and shut that part of yourself down. Those memories can really serve you well. Another thing to watch for is this. I'm going to show you a handout, and I will give you guys a copy of this. This will be posted in the group a little bit later on. You'll have access to getting this, but this is a document that I put together I created an anxiety release course years ago. It was an actual course that I took a lot of my coaching clients through, and this one is called Ego versus the Higher Self. And so I'm going to read to you the list of what it feels like when you're connected to the ego and what it feels like when you are in touch. Look how many there are when you're in touch with the higher self or your essence. So here we go. The ego, you feel chaos. You feel there's a lot of mind chatter that goes on. In other words, you know when you do something stupid and your mind immediately goes, oh, Janet, you are so stupid. Why did you do that? Like, that's mind chatter, right? That's not, your higher self will never say stuff like that to you. Never, never, never. If you are at a major event and you're called upon to compete in something that you're good at, and you keep watching all these other people who are competing and they're way better than you, and then you have to go on and you feel this tall or this big, right? When it's time for you to shine and show what you can do, and you feel like, oh, I just want to hide under a rock. That's not your higher self. That is your ego. That's the brain. That's the mind chatter telling you that you aren't enough. You aren't good enough. You're not capable enough. You're not rich enough, smart enough, pretty enough, funny enough, skinny enough, blah, blah, blah. We could go on and on and on. Okay, that's the ego. The ego will also be very wishy-washy. Like, it can't make up its mind. It'll try to second guess you. Here's how you know. The ego will always come in, and the ego is like your brain self or the natural man, right? So you'll have these intuitive sparks of divine revelation or intuition, right, will come through. And you'll have these little flashes of greatness come through into your intelligence, through your intelligence, and then all of a sudden the brain will get a hold of it and it'll talk you out of it. Like, that's silly, or that's ridiculous, or that doesn't make any sense, right? That's your brain. That's your ego. The brain self, or the intellectual or ego self, is usually emotionally unstable, highly judgmental, and here's why. Your brain is an organ. It's like a calculator. It's used to compare and analyze data. And so if you leave it up to the brain to create an identity for yourself, it's going to compare you with everybody else. And it's going to analyze and judge everybody else. Marlene says that happened to me. Okay. Ooh, interesting. I would love to hear that story. Gina says, yes, I have inner fight a lot. Spirit versus ego. Yeah, we all do. All of us do. And so it's a matter of, your ego isn't bad. I mean, we need the intellect so that we can balance our checkbook and drive from point A to point B. We need the intellect, but it's a matter of coming to the realization of who really should be in charge. Your higher self should be the one in charge. The ego should take a back seat. But often, many of us are allowing that ego self to be in the driver's seat of this vehicle, our body, and it's like letting a 4-year-old drive down the freeway in a car going 80. That child is not capable of driving that vehicle, and your brain self, your ego self, is not capable of navigating this vessel through life. It's not capable. It's not even its job. It's like asking a calculator to run Windows. It's not capable, and that's not its job. So please don't create an identity for yourself out of what your mind is doing. okay? Or what you think your mind should be doing. Anyway, if you're up in the ego, you get judgmental and self-critical because you're analyzing and comparing data, right? You are dominantly intellectual. Everything has to be proven. Nothing can be frou-frou or non-tangible. And anything that's non-tangible is irrelevant. So that can be a problem, because if you don't buy into the fact that there is another dimension available to you by which you can garner very powerful information, then you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on higher activities, higher experiences. Marlene says, I was told by a teacher, oh my goodness, told by a teacher it was my ego instead of spirit, and then doubted myself and the experience. I took a part of the experience away after my dad passed away. It took a part of the experience away after my dad passed away. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, good. So you guys really are pretty aware already as to the difference between the ego and the higher self. So let's go through these a little faster. Dominantly intellectual, underlying fear and anger. So you're motivated by fear and anger. When you're motivated by fear, you'll do things that you wouldn't normally do because you're afraid of someone or some outcome, right? You're afraid of something happening, or you're afraid of someone not approving of you. Feels out of control a lot, feels like a victim. Stuff happens to you and there's nothing you can do about it, right? You're a victim, helpless. You have mental exhaustion. You're in a state of emergency often. High stress, high anxiety. You feel unwanted and unworthy. Wow, is this triggering you guys? You feel like you're not enough. You feel like you're not lovable, rich enough, smart enough, pretty enough, funny enough. Talked about that. You feel like a failure. You feel like a fake, like somebody's going to find you out. You're apologetic of yourself, always saying sorry for every little thing. Feels attacked or needs to attack back. Woo! Never feels good to be in the ego. Those feelings don't feel good. Not one of them feels good. So get out of there, guys. Get out of there. Do we all need to go to the hospital now? Yes, the ego hospital. And let's do an ego extraction and remove that from our beings. Okay, so higher self, here's the symptoms. Here are the symptoms of the higher self. You feel calm and relaxed. You feel inspired, usually to serve others. Tina, you make me laugh so hard. It's so funny. It feels very resolute, peaceful, stable. You feel more governed by a healthy balance between your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions and your intuition. So when those things are balanced out, and not one or the other is playing a major role, it's a lot easier to navigate your way through this life when you can bring balance to the thoughts and to the intellect. You're motivated by love. You feel God is in control and will handle the details. It's like, it is what it is and I'm okay. Infinite being here. What do I have to worry about? Right? What do I have to worry about? You feel powerful to change and create your own life. You feel rejuvenated and blissful when you're connected to your higher self. You feel faith-filled. In other words, it's all going to work out. Maybe this is happening for a divine purpose. Who knows? Let's find out, right? So there's no need to be in a state of threat or panic or worry about anything, because who's to say that life is not unfolding for you exactly as it should be? So you trust, you feel neutral. Neutrality, again, is not, it's not indifference. So neutrality isn't basically looking at a situation and saying, don't care. Neutrality is saying, it is what it is, and I'm okay. I'm okay in this situation. I don't feel like I'm under attack. I don't need to attack back. I don't feel threatened. You may feel prompted to attack back or stand up for yourself or defend yourself in some circumstances, depending on what the intuition guides you to do. So being neutral doesn't mean that you just sit down in your problems and go, nah, whatever. It doesn't mean that at all. Sometimes you'll be divinely guided in a state of neutrality to take some kind of affirmative action here and now. Do it now, right? But you'll be divinely motivated by love instead of fear. Okay? So that's what neutrality is. Gina says, I have been saying that the last month, and what a difference it's made. Yeah, I know, right? Write it on your mirror in bright red lipstick. Unless you're a guy. Sorry. Probably not do that. You feel loving, you feel lovable, you feel like you have all that you need. I have all the time I need. I'm an infinite being. My kids are constantly saying that to me. Letting go of the push and the pull is trust. Yeah, good. Thank you, Chelsea, for pointing that out. That's awesome. That's a really great description of what trust and faith really is. It's just letting go of the surrendering. It's surrendering to a higher power and knowing that you're okay. You're an infinite being. You cannot run out of time and you cannot die. So those two fears can be eliminated right now. You feel like a creator, a co-creator. You feel authentic. You feel compassion for others because you know why? You're out of the brain now and you're into your higher self. And so that what that does for you is it allows you to stop judging and stop analyzing, and it compels you to start just seeing things as they really are, as they truthfully are. So when somebody is yelling at you or barfing up their negativity all over onto you, you can just take a step back, observe it for what it is, and go, it's not about me. It's not about me. It is what it is. I'm okay. I'm just going to see it for what it is. Clearly, that person is in a lot of pain, and they're trying to find a release. Wintergreen. Okay, here we go. Last ones is you feel motivated. When you're in the higher self, you have motivation because of that compassion and that connection to the deeper levels of love in you. You feel motivated to serve, to give and serve others. And it feels really, really, really good. It feels really good to be connected to the ego. So the last little bit of class, then, I'm going to give you guys just a couple of exercises. These are super fun. And again, I don't have a handout for you for this class. But write it down. Go get a pencil and paper and write these down. And I want you to do them. I want you to take it seriously. I want you to do it because next time we meet, I kind of want to get some feedback as to how this part of the class went for you guys, okay? So, here we go. Get out your piece of paper, preferably a blank piece of paper with two sides. And on the front part of your paper, I want you to write down at the very top of the paper, you're going to make a list. So you're going to write down a list of all of the things that you enjoy, that you dream about, like all the things that you'd love to have, be, or do. Okay? So this is your dream list. What do you love? What fills you with gratitude? What feeds your soul? And you know what? It could be people in your life, but I want more specifically things that have to do with you, the essence of you. What lights you up? What brings you out? When in your life do you feel the most confident and powerful? And I know that Gina does when she's being funny because she has a sense of humor. So thank you for that. That is really one of your gifts, is that you give people the gift of laughter, and that's a really important gift to serve up to the world. So the more that you're willing to do that, the more your true essence, your true soul self will come to the surface. Okay, so you don't have to do it right now, but just write down what I want you to put on that list and make that list. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Make that list as long as you possibly can, okay? if you want to spend an afternoon jotting more things down, and keep that list by you throughout the day so that as you go about your day and more things pop into your mind, oh yeah, I love this too, or I love the color blue, or I love really beautiful jewelry, or I love the sunset, the sunrise in the morning, I love the ocean, I love singing, I love mentoring, I love teaching people, I love making people laugh. You know, whatever you want to have, be, or do, whatever lights you up and fills you with joy and bliss, okay? And that list can be a mile long if you want it to. On the other side of the paper, you're going to turn your paper over and write at the top of this page, well, no, you're going to wait on that. Go back to the other side. On the list, when you're done creating your list, I want you to spend about a minute. So this might take you a couple days, actually. But I want you to spend about a minute with each item on your list, okay? And I want you to notice what feelings do those items on your list conjure up in your body. How does that feel to you? Do you feel heavy or do you feel light? Do you feel love or do you feel stuck? You start to notice and you write down the description of how that item on your list causes you to feel inside of your body. So the feeling, the sensation, the smells, the tastes, I want you to really project yourself out into the future as if you have it, as if it is a part of you. First thing that came to my mind is food. Oh, you're in my camp for sure. Food can be a very delightful, enjoyable experience. The sad thing is our food system on this planet has been hijacked, so our food now is like a drug, and a lot of the mindless foods that we tend to eat and we sit in front of the TV and just mindlessly munch, those kinds of foods are highly addictive and they can do the opposite to you. But yeah, beautiful food. Thanksgiving Day, when it's beautifully presented, there's so much love and effort that's gone into the preparing of the foods. Yeah, definitely. Can be a beautiful experience for families. Does it fill you with joy? Do you feel light? Does it give you goosebumps when you think about projecting yourself out into the future and spending a minute with this item on your list? Does it do any of that stuff for you? If it does fill you with joy, it gives you goosebumps, it makes you happy, it makes you giggly, it makes you excited and feel light and happy and blissful and joyful, circle it. That's what you're going to do. Put a big giant circle and a star by it as soon as those feelings come in. Chelsea says, mine is color. I love color, especially that picture behind you. I know, right? I know. Okay, so the story about this picture is my husband and I took our kids to Hawaii several years ago after our daughter, our 14-year-old daughter had cancer, and when she came through her treatments, we decided to take the family. It was a part of her WISH program. They offered us, it was through Wishing Star, I believe. They offered us, our family, a trip to Hawaii. And we went to Hawaii. It was the most magical, enchanting, amazing experience. I mean, some of our kids experienced the ocean for the first time, and it was just amazing. It was one of the most amazing, and the place that we stayed on the ocean looked just like this picture. Like Dave and I would get up in the mornings and we'd walk along the beach, and we had the whole beach to ourselves. And like right here was Diamond Head, anyway, long story, but it was just the most enchanting, amazing experience. And so Dave and I went back together for our anniversary the next year, and I just fell in love with that place. I fell in love with the ocean, the sky, the sand, the sea, the sunlight. It was just such an amazing experience for me. And so this picture is what lights up my soul. I want to be in it so badly. Yeah. Hawaii is like heaven on earth. It really is. It's just one of the most beautiful places ever. So anyway, make your list. Spend a minute or two on each of the items on your list. Notice how those items make you feel, especially if you project yourself out into the future, as if you have it already. And notice if those good feelings come up, you feel lighter, you feel really engaged with it, you feel joy, bliss, love come up, then circle it, okay? Oh, you got to live in Hawaii. It is a sacred place. Wow, you've lived in some pretty sacred places, Chelsea. I would tell the story that you told me about where you lived before, but I'll let you do that. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your paper over. And I want you to write down those critical things that were on the list, okay? The things that you circled on your list. Write those things down and write the first ones at the top that made you feel the best. And I want you to focus on service. I want you to focus on how can you use this item that makes you feel so good and so alive and so joyful. How can you use this as a means of giving into the world? How can you use what you love as a way to serve and give to others? You may have to get creative with that, but I want you to write it down. How can this help me to serve? And just use the ones on the list that made you feel really good, really elevated, really excited. Okay. And then I want you guys to return and report and share with me over the course of the next few days inside of this group the results of that experience, okay? You're going to have to remember because I might forget. Now, exercise number 2, before I let you go for the day, this is exercise number 2. This is an exercise that will really help to open up the third eye chakra and wake up the levels of intuition in your body. Okay, so if you want to increase the level of intuition, do this exercise. It's a really great one. There's 100 different exercises you can do, but I love this one. It's called paying attention. So if you want to write it down, right at the top of your paper, pay attention. So what I want you to do, this might be a little more difficult to do in the winter time, but do it anyway. And especially do it in the spring and summer, but do it anyways. So it's a walking meditation basically, and you're going to go outside and you're going to take a walk. And as you walk on this walk, I want you to really focus on paying attention to everything that you see. You're going to pay attention to birds, to sounds, to nature, to the crackling sound underneath your feet. I want you to pay attention to the senses, the different ways that you do sense your environment. If there's a rainstorm going on or, you know, an electrical storm, do you notice that the hairs on the back of your neck stick up? They stand up. Notice the sensations of the environment around you. And what is the environment doing to your body? How's your body responding to that environment? Is it filling you with love or fear? Okay? Feel your feet pressing against the rocks or the pavement. Feel the air brushing against your skin. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it windy? Is it still? Feel it. Really pay attention to it. And if it's really windy and it's whipping against your face, feel that. Feel it. Pay attention to smells, sounds, even tastes. You know what? You can taste the rain. You can smell the rain. You can smell how clean and fresh the air is after a rain. Even when it snows, there's different sensations that happen when the environment around you is doing things. So pay attention to that stuff. What it does is it really helps you to tune in to what's going on inside of your body. Intuition comes from deep within the recesses of your body. Intuition doesn't come from your brain. It never will. So it's not a logical process. Notice what your body does with these senses, the 5 physical senses. Notice what your body does when intuition comes in. When you really slow down the breath and you slow down your movements and you slow the energy way down, it really helps you to pay attention. It helps you to open up and awaken more of a sense of awareness deep within you. Now, when intuition comes in, you may feel a tingling. You may feel, itching is another sign. Usually when spirit is trying to get your attention and connect with you or communicate with you, you'll feel itching in the root chakra at the base of the spine. Your butt will itch. It will. And not everybody, but that's a really common symptom. Tingling is a really common symptom. Feeling a flowing or a rushing sensation between the ears, between your ears, like inside of your head. You know what it's like to be underwater? Sorry I made you guys laugh, but that's what happens. You know what it's like when you go underwater and you just feel that rushing sensation of flow or fluid? If you feel that way in the present tense, like you're not under the water, and all of a sudden this rushing sensation comes into your head and in between your ears, sometimes that can be spirit trying to get your attention. It's trying to tell you something. So if that comes in and you feel intuitively like there's something there for you, then take a look at it and just ask, who's here for me? You may notice like a tapping sensation when intuition comes through or spirit is trying to get your attention. You might notice a tapping, like sometimes I'll feel like a muscle twitched on my arm, or it'll feel like somebody really literally did tap on my shoulder or my arm or my leg. Pay attention to that. The more awake you are, the more aware you are of the sensations in your body, the more you're going to pick up on this kind of stuff. And then I'm going to share with you one of my experiences that I had with tapping into intuition. You know how sometimes when you hear a truth, it sends shivers up your spine? You get the chills? Like when you hear a really cool story or you hear somebody speak their truth, you get the chills. And sometimes it can also invoke a thought, like a higher thought that you can tell the thought is not your own. One way to tell whether or not you're being tapped into that spirit part of you is, when you have conversations with yourself, and don't tell me you don't, everybody does. When you have conversations with yourself and you're all alone and you ask a question, and before the question has even exited your lips, the answer has flowed right through. Like the answer is coming right out at the same time that the question is being asked. That's something to watch for, because that's either your higher self communicating through you or to you, or it's spirit trying to come through. So intuition is a really great way to light up your higher self and to get in contact and connection with your higher self. Okay. And lastly, what I want you guys to do, as these thoughts and these impressions and this information begins to flow through you as you awaken, as you tap into the higher self and these deeper levels of your being, I want you to start keeping a little journal. Keep it by your bed. Write down your dreams. Write down thoughts and impressions and feelings. Write down promptings and nudges and sensations in the body. Pay attention to those sensations. And what is that? Where is there information in there for you? I don't know. That's for you to discern, but start paying attention to it. Because how are you ever going to discern the information if you're not aware of it? How do you know if your ego mind is giving you the answer instead of intuition? Ooh, great question. Awesome. Sabrina, I recommend that you go back over the list, watch the replay of the symptoms or the evidence of the ego and the evidence of the higher self. The ego will feel chaotic, heavy, dense. There'll be a lot of wishy-washiness, mind chatter, can't make up its mind. The higher self and intuition flows through your higher self. It never comes through the ego. It always comes through your higher self. So it will feel peaceful, light, loving, kind, compassionate, warm, caring. It's going to have a totally different sensation in your body. It won't be motivated by fear or anger. It will be motivated by love. So those are some of the ways you can tell. Go back and watch the replay of this video if you want the entire complete list of the difference between the ego self and the higher self, because that was a really, really great question. Thank you for asking it. Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to take this deeper. I'm going to teach you more tools and exercises for accessing the essence of you. It's called an essence meditation, and I will take you deep inside of your body. We're going to, you're going to connect. You're going to connect, and you're going to feel the difference between your ego self and your highest self. So I really want you guys to get this. I want you to get the most out of this that you possibly can. So I'm going to really do my best to flood you with tons of powerful content, exercises, experiences that you can take yourself through in order to get back into connection with your higher self and back onto that true path. There is no better feeling, you guys. There's no better feeling in the world than to be on your soul's true path, connected to your higher self. There really isn't. And you become a much more magnetic, attractive, amazing human being that lights up the world around you. And you provide healing in this world when you do that. So please honor who you are. Marlene says, also, when it's from your higher self, it's also gentle and more subtle. Ooh, good point. Yes. It's usually very, very quiet. It's not loud and obnoxious and belligerent. It doesn't bully its way through and its way in. Also, you can also tell when you're connected to the higher self, because when intuition comes through from divine sources, from your highest self, connected to your source, you can always tell when it's coming through from God to you, that because the outcomes that you're being nudged in the direction of will be beneficial for all people involved, not just you and not just one person. That's how God works. Every solution that God will provide to you, the Father is just, he's just all wise and all intelligent and all knowing and knows what everybody else around you needs. So the answers that come through intuition to you to guide you through your life will be divinely directed, and they will be the right answer for you as well as the best thing for everybody else involved as well. Let me give you an example of that, and then I'm going to let you go. I knew a lady one time who her husband had lost his job, and they'd been out of work for a very long extended period of time, and they were praying that he could find, he'd lost his job. Anyway, he wanted to purchase another company that he could run or manage. And they were praying for this opportunity to present itself, a company that he could buy. Praying and praying and praying, and hurry up, Lord, please, please send this blessing to us. Please hurry it up. And nothing was coming. Nothing was coming. And every time they'd try to pursue and go down this road or that road, they'd hit a brick wall. And she was like, we were beyond frustrated because we couldn't understand, why would the Lord do this to us? Why would God send us down these dead-end paths only to turn back around again and start praying all over again for him to find an opportunity that he could, a business opportunity that he could purchase. And then one day it finally happened, but not until after this massive trial of their faith. They came across a business opportunity that was in his line of expertise. It was the perfect opportunity, perfectly molded and sculpted just for him, and they seized the opportunity, purchased the business, and then ran with it. They were so thrilled beyond measure, so thrilled to finally get the solution to this problem. Well, when they purchased the company from the woman who was selling it, guess what her story was? Her story was that her husband had brain cancer, terminal brain cancer, and they knew that he was dying, and they knew that they were going to have to sell the business, sell the company at some point in time. But they just wanted him to hang on for a little bit longer, and they were praying that he could hang on and hang on and hang on a little bit longer and just give us a little bit more time. Please, Lord, give us a little bit more time. And so the opportunity didn't present itself because they were praying for a little bit more time, and the other company involved that was tethered to this experience was praying for less time, for time to be quickened. So you never know what's on the other side of the door of what you're asking for. That's why you got to trust. You got to trust God knows what is best for all parties involved. I love sharing that story. It makes me cry every time because it is evidence that God is a divine being who knows you intimately and personally, and he knows your needs, and he knows your wants, and he knows what you're capable of, and he knows the perfect, most divine timing for not just you, but for everybody else who your choices will affect. He knows it all. So please don't forget that. When intuition comes in, you got to trust it. You got to go with it because you don't know what's on the other side of that door, of the threshold of that door, and you don't know all of the people that experience will affect. So I love you guys. This was a fun class. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and then Monday, Tuesday of the following week, we will finish with day 5 on Tuesday, the 28th, I believe. So go do this little exercise, see how far you can get. Remind me to bring it up so that I can ask you guys to give me a report of how it went for you. This is the first step in reconnecting you guys back onto your soul's path. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you take it seriously. Hope you go back and watch the replays of this video so you can get the most out of it. Okay, see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Bye.